Maya reached the airport early because she liked quiet mornings. The glass roof glowed with soft light. A board flashed city names. Her flight number blinked green. She smiled. She was on time. She carried one small bag and a thin folder with travel orders, her laptop, and a scarf her niece had made. The scarf was blue with tiny clouds. It made her feel calm. She found a seat and breathed slowly. Today would be simple. Fly out, attend a meeting, fly back. At the gate, a line formed. The gate agent, Dana, checked the screen and spoke in a clear voice. "Good morning. We will board soon. Please have your documents ready." Maya nodded. She kept her things ready because it made life easier. The first group boarded, then the next. Maya's group was called. Dana scanned her pass. "Thank you, Ms. Brooks," she said. "Have a nice flight." Maya thanked her and walked down the jet bridge. Cool air flowed from the tunnel. Inside, the aircraft, a flight attendant greeted her. People were finding seats. Bags went into overhead bins. The cabin felt like a small town that knew its chores. Maya turned into row 12. Seat 12C, aisle. She placed her bag overhead and sat. The engine hum was faint. She looked at the wing and the morning sun. Seats filled around her. A man across the aisle smiled. She smiled back. Up front, the captain stepped into the cabin for a routine glance. He checked a latch and a door seal. He looked down the aisle. His eyes paused at row 12. He saw Maya's calm face, the blue scarf, the folder on her lap. He nodded once, then spoke to the flight attendant in a low voice. A tone sounded near the door. The gate phone rang. Dana picked up. The pilot asked for a pause in boarding. He wanted to re-verify one passenger in row 12. He did not name a rule. He named a feeling. Dana looked at the screen, then at the jet bridge. She had a job and a clock to watch. The jet bridge halted. People near the door stopped. Inside the plane, the air felt tighter, like the room had taken a careful breath. Maya looked up from her folder. She did not know yet what had changed. Dana stepped onto the aircraft and moved down the aisle. She leaned near Maya with a professional smile. "Ms. Brooks, may I speak with you at the front?" Maya nodded. "Of course." She closed her folder and stood. At the front galley, the open door let in a ribbon of cool air. Dana folded her hands. "I am sorry for the delay. The captain asked me to re-verify your details. It should be quick." Maya listened. Her face stayed calm. "I am happy to cooperate," she said. "Please use the same process for everyone." Dana checked the system again and saw that Maya's documents were in order. She also heard the clock in her head. The departure window was not large. She looked toward the flight deck door. A few passengers watched with quiet eyes. A gentleman, with a gray jacket, shifted back to give space. Dana scanned Maya's pass again. The green light blinked. "Thank you," she said. The captain stood just inside the door. He had flown for many years. He cared about safety. He also knew that feelings can cloud facts. In this moment, he felt the pull of caution. He asked that security take a quick look. Dana called for a supervisor. "We need a quick check," she said, voice steady. "We are holding boarding." The line outside slowed to a stop. People looked at their phones. There was no harsh talk, only the press of time on a busy morning. Maya rested her folder on the small shelf and took a sip of water. Her hands were open. Her shoulders were even. She did not guess at others' feelings. She did not argue. She used the skills that had carried her through many rooms: steady breath, clear words, patience. She thought of the meeting she would attend later. She thought of her niece and the blue scarf with clouds. She brushed the fringe with her fingers. She remembered a line she told interns: "When systems pause, you can still choose how to stand." She chose grace. Chief Ortiz arrived with 2 officers. "Good morning," Ortiz said. "I am here to help clarify any questions." He spoke. To Dana first, then to the captain, and then to Maya. His tone was even, and his words were simple. Maya nodded. "I am happy to help you verify anything you need," she said. "I ask only that you use the same process you would use for anyone else." Ortiz appreciated the tone. "Thank you," he said. "We will keep this efficient and respectful." He asked Dana to confirm the boarding scan. It was green. He asked the captain what rule he wanted to apply. The captain spoke of caution but could not name a policy. Ortiz made a small note. He then turned to Maya. "With your permission," he said, "we will verify your identification through official channels. It should not take long." Maya opened her wallet. She handed only what was needed. She placed her ID and boarding. Pass on the shelf. Ortiz checked the names. They matched. He explained the next step. "I will step aside and make one call. I will return as soon as I can," he said. He left her ID in view. Small choices like that help trust. Maya nodded. "Thank you for explaining." The plane was quiet, like a library before the doors open. The aisle stayed clear. The gentleman in the gray jacket held his book but did not read. He looked at Maya and offered a small nod. She returned the nod. Dana glanced at the clock. Minutes passed. She sent an update to operations. "Brief verification working with security. Will advise." Outside, a baggage cart rolled by. All the while, the plane held its breath and waited for an answer so the day could move on. Maya looked at the captain. He met her eyes for a second. Neither spoke. She saw lines of care in his face. He saw steadiness in hers. They looked away. Ortiz returned to the galley. His stride was measured. He had done this task before. He gave a small nod to Dana, then to Maya. "Thank you for your patience," he said. "With your permission, I will ask one more simple question to confirm your work, City." Maya agreed. They stepped half a pace to the side. Ortiz asked her to confirm. The city. She did. He thanked her. "I will close the loop shortly," he said. Passengers settled into their seats. The flight attendant checked a latch and straightened a safety card. Maya opened her folder again. She checked a page of notes and placed a sticky tab. The scarf's blue edge looked like a small piece of sky. Dana gave a sign to hold boarding. The agent nodded. The rhythm was slow, but it had shape. Maya kept her hands at her sides, palms open. She did not let the pause define her. She let her choices define the pause. She chose kindness. She chose patience. Ortiz stepped away one more time to complete the verification. He moved with purpose, but no rush. Maya looked at the open door and the waiting jet bridge. She breathed in for 4 counts and out for 6. The plane seemed to exhale with her, even though it did not move. Passengers watched and waited. The crew watched and waited. Maya rested her fingers on the edge of her scarf and waited for the next step. The process was not finished, but neither was the day. The waiting felt longer because the clock kept talking. A soft chime at the gate, the faint hum of the air unit, the steady beep-beep from a cart somewhere in the hallway. Every small sound marked another second. Dana checked the time again. She knew the numbers on the departure slot. She knew the next flight behind them also needed this gate. She wanted to keep things smooth. Chief Ortiz stood with an easy posture near the galley. He listened to the captain, listened to Dana, and listened to the cabin. He watched how people were breathing. He saw a few tight shoulders and a few calm faces. He saw Maya's open hands and steady eyes. He made a note in his small book. Tone, calm, process, underway. "Thank you for your patience," Ortiz said to Maya. His voice was warm but clear. "I will confirm through our standard channel. May I have permission to call the duty office to verify your identity?" "You have my permission," Maya said. She kept her voice simple, the way she would explain a process to new staff. "Please use the same steps you would use for anyone." "I will," Ortiz said. He appreciated that sentence. Same steps for anyone. That was the point. He stepped aside to a quiet corner near the open door and made the call. He spoke in short lines. He spelled names. He read the flight number and the gate code. He thanked the person on the other end. He waited. Then he thanked them again. He ended the call and wrote down 2 numbers. While he worked, the aircraft became a room full of small patients. Passengers lowered their voices. A toddler tapped a soft beat on her armrest. The flight attendant checked the seat pockets again and smiled at the child. The child's mother mouthed, "Thank you." The plane seemed to breathe. Across the aisle, the gentleman with the gray jacket, Mr. Gupta, shifted in his seat in a way that made more space for people to move. He could see the line of sight from the galley to the aisle. He could see how a narrow walkway can make people feel tense. So he took his jacket off, folded it neatly, and placed it under his seat. He kept the aisle clear. "Do you need me to move back a row?" he asked the flight attendant quietly. "If it helps space." "That is kind," she said. "You are fine there. Thank you." Mr. Gupta looked at Maya. "You are handling this with such grace," he said softly. "I want you to know I see that." "Thank you," Maya said. She did not seek attention, but she let a small smile show. "We will get through it step by step." The captain stood near the cockpit door, not quite inside, not quite outside. He had a pilot's presence, the kind that fits small spaces with steady weight. He also had a knot in his thoughts. He told himself he cared only about safety. He told himself he would ask the same for any passenger. He told himself many things because he was trying to be fair. But even he could hear the absence of a clear rule. He knew that feelings can turn into habits if no one corrects them. He watched Ortiz work and felt the tug of time. Dana kept her voice smooth. On her tablet, she tapped an update. Security verification continues. Tone calm. ETA pending. She looked at the seating chart. 2 more families had checked in. She could see their stroller tags. She wanted to keep them moving but not rush. The process. She breathed in for 4 counts, out for 4 counts, a trick she had learned in a training video. "Would you like some water?" the flight attendant asked Maya. "Yes, please," Maya said. She held the small paper cup with both hands, as if the cup itself needed reassurance. The water was cool. It helped anchor the moment. Ortiz returned. "Thank you, Ms. Brooks," he said. "May I confirm your work city?" He asked the simple standard question. Maya answered. He smiled slightly. "I appreciate the clarity." He turned to the captain. "Captain, I am confirming identity through the proper channel now," he said. "We will have an answer shortly." The captain nodded. "Understood," he said. His voice was even. He did not raise it. He did not hide behind it either. He glanced at Maya and then looked back at Ortiz. "Thank you," he added, and he meant it. The pause continued. Outside, a fuel truck rattled past. The sunlight on the jet bridge shifted a tone warmer. Inside, a passenger coughed and covered it with a sleeve. Another passenger tucked a book into the seat pocket. The plane knew the rhythm of waiting days and used it now to stay still. Maya looked down at her blue scarf. The clouds on it looked like small, kind ideas floating over a quiet sea. She thought of her niece who had sewn those clouds with small stitches after school, tongue between teeth, eyes bright. She thought of the way patience can be a gift you hand forward. She was handing it forward now. Dana's radio gave a tiny buzz. She tilted her head to listen, then answered with 2 short words. She checked the boarding door. The line had thinned. She signaled to hold. She took one more look at the clock. It kept talking. She refused to let it make her tone sharp. "Ms. Brooks," said the flight attendant, "if you would like to sit while you wait, I can bring your bag down from the overhead so you have your folder with you." That would be nice, Maya said. Thank you. She settled in the jump seat near the galley for a moment, not as a favor, but as a practical step. Her folder rested on her lap. She did not read it now. She just kept it there, a calm square of paper, a map of a normal day waiting to resume. A young man near row 11 spoke to his seatmate in a low voice. I travel a lot, he said. I have never seen a pause handled this quietly. It's because of that woman, the seatmate whispered back. She is calm. It spreads. Maya did not hear them, but she felt the tone in the cabin ease. A little like a song dropping into a gentle key, Ortiz made a second, shorter call. He confirmed the spelling of the last name again. He confirmed the date of birth. He spelled the middle name with care. He thanked the person on the phone again. He wrote down 2 letters on his notepad and underlined them. Then he turned to Dana. We are close, he said. Please keep the door staged. We may resume boarding soon if timing allows. Understood, Dana said. She looked at the captain and lifted her eyebrows in a question that meant, Are you with me? He gave a small nod that meant, Yes. Mr. Gupta cleared his throat quietly and spoke to the few passengers around him. Let's keep the aisle open so staff can move. Small things help. They shifted in small ways, and those small ways made a wide path. It was like a puzzle where each piece only had to move a little for the whole picture to clear. The captain stepped closer to the galley and spoke to Ortiz in a voice just above a whisper. I do not want to treat anyone unfairly, he said. I do want to be careful. I know care and fairness must be the same thing. I am still learning how to make sure of that. Ortiz nodded. That is a good sentence, he said. Care and fairness must be the same thing. Today we will show that with actions. Maya heard the last line. She kept her gaze on her cup, but let the words rest in her mind. Actions, the process, the set steps. That is what matters. A teenager in row 13 pulled out earbuds and looked forward, curious but quiet. He was traveling alone for the first time. He had a small backpack with a keychain that said, Be brave. He watched how the adults handled the moment. He learned more than he would have from a safety card. Ms. Brooks, Ortiz said at last. Thank you for your continued patience. I need to step into a quieter spot to complete the confirmation. It should be brief. Do I have your permission to hold your ID here in my line of sight while I do so, or would you prefer to keep it with you and meet me by the door when I return? You may keep it in your line of sight, Maya said. Thank you for asking. Of course, Ortiz said. He placed the ID in a small, clear holder on the metal shelf where everyone could see it sat secure and untouched. Transparency as a practice. He walked 2 steps toward the open door, then paused and turned back to Dana. Please hold boarding for now, he said. We are in the last step. Dana spoke into her radio. Holding. Last step. 2 words, then 2 more. It helped her keep order in her own thoughts. The captain looked at the cockpit clock. He made a quick calculation in his head about pushback, taxi time, and air traffic flow. He knew they were on the edge, but not over it. He could tell from the way the ramp crew moved that they were ready to help them make up a minute if needed. He let his shoulders drop half an inch. Maya closed her eyes for a brief moment and pictured the meeting room at her destination. A square table, a small window, 3 cups of coffee, a whiteboard marker with a loose cap. She imagined walking in later, saying, "Good morning," and setting her folder down. She imagined the day going forward without any sharp edges. She opened her eyes again and stayed present. Mr. Gupta looked at his watch. Then he put the watch face down on his knee. He did not want to count seconds anymore. He wanted to count kindnesses. He had already counted 3. The flight attendant's soft smile for the child, Dana's steady tone, and Maya's open hands. 2 rows back, a college student took a breath as if to speak, then saw Maya's calm and decided to wait. Not every Moment needs a comment, she thought. Some moments need space. Ortiz stepped into the jet bridge. The light there was bright and clean. He stood with his back to the door so his voice would not carry into the cabin. He made the final call. He gave the reference numbers. He listened. He wrote down a name. He asked for confirmation one more time because he believed in careful steps that do not rush even when the clock talks. The person on the line answered. Ortiz listened to the last sentence with full attention. He raised his eyebrows once, in that small way a person does when something. Chief Ortiz stepped back into the galley with the quiet confidence of someone who brings answers, not noise. He held his small notepad in one hand and the clear holder with Maya's ID in the other. He looked at Maya first, then at the captain, then at Dana. His voice was steady and kind. "Ms. Brooks," he said, "thank you for your patience. May I speak one brief sentence here, with your permission?" "You have my permission," Maya said. Her hand stayed open on her lap. Her blue scarf rested against her wrist like a calm line of sky. Ortiz inclined his head. He chose simple words. "We verified your identity through our standard channel. Everything is in order." He set the clear holder back on the metal shelf so that everyone could see nothing had changed hands without care. Then he turned slightly toward the captain. "Captain," he said, "the verification is complete. The passenger is cleared." The captain's shoulders loosened a little, like a rope that had been wound too tight, and finally found the right notch. He gave a short nod that meant he understood. He looked at Maya, and for the first time since the pause began, his eyes carried a plain apology, quiet and human. "Thank you," Maya said. Her voice was as calm as before, neither sharp nor soft. Just clear. She reached for her ID, then paused. She looked at Ortiz. "Would you like me to show any additional document here or keep everything private as usual?" "Privacy is good practice," Ortiz said. "If you would like, you may show me your credentials once more, and I will state that they have been confirmed. We do not need to display anything to the cabin." Maya nodded. She opened her wallet, took out a slim case, and, in the small, respectful circle of Ortiz and the captain, showed what needed to be seen. Ortiz glanced, verified, and returned a polite nod. The captain saw the steady process, not just the paper. He watched how each step had a reason, a boundary, and a tone. He felt a small lesson settle where the knot in his thoughts had been. "Thank you for closing the loop," Maya said, returning her credentials to her wallet. "Thank you for your cooperation," Ortiz replied. He turned to Dana. "You may resume boarding." "Resuming boarding," Dana said into her radio. Her voice kept the same smooth rhythm it had carried all morning. She signaled to the gate. The jet bridge team moved with quiet purpose. The Dio line began to flow again. Inside the cabin, the air changed in an instant, though no one said so out loud. It was like a polite bow from the room itself. People shifted to make space. Bags settled into bins. A child pressed her hands to the window and whispered, "Look, clouds," even though the plane was still at the gate. Mr. Gupta gave Maya a small smile. "I'm glad this part is complete," he said in a warm, low voice. "So am I," Maya said. "Thank you for helping keep the aisle clear." "It was a small thing," he said. "But small things help." The captain stepped nearer, still, not making a scene, still careful to let process lead. "Ms. Brooks," he said, "thank you for your patience." Maya met his eyes. She did not turn patience into a sword. She did not turn dignity into a wall. She simply said, "I appreciate your words." Then she added, "I hope the same process will hold for any person on any day." The captain took that in. "Yes," he said, "it should. I will do my part to make sure of that." Dana returned to her podium, checked the seating chart, and pressed a few keys. She spoke with the cadence of a well-made plan. "Welcome aboard. Please take your seats. We are managing a brief delay and doing our best to depart on time." The gate agents outside echoed the cue. Feet moved, wheels rolled, seats clicked as belts found buckles. Ortiz remained for a moment at the front, finishing his notes. He recorded the time, the steps, and the tone. Calm, respectful, standard verification, complete. He included one sentence that meant more than it looked. Passengers and crew cooperated. The flight attendant guided a stroller tag to a family near row 20, then ducked back up front to check the galley latch. She gave Maya a friendly nod, the kind that says we see each other, not we see the moment. Visible care, not visible drama. Maya stood from the jump seat and returned to 12C. Her bag slid neatly into the overhead. Her folder returned to her lap. She smoothed the corner of a page and tucked a sticky tab into place. The plane, in its way, smiled. This is what it was built for. People with plans and papers and hopes and quiet routines. As passengers filed past, a teenager with a Be Brave keychain paused by 12C. "I liked how you handled that," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you," Maya said. "You handled it well, too. Sometimes being quiet is also brave." He nodded, a little surprised to be seen, then moved on to his seat. Near the door, the captain spoke softly to Ortiz. "I will file a report." He didn't hide from the word. "I will include what I asked for, what I could not name, and what I learned." "That sounds right," Ortiz said. "Facts first. Tone matters, too. Today's tone was good." He looked toward Maya. "Largely because of her," the captain followed his glance. "Yes," he said, "because of her." Boarding reached its last few passengers. Dana checked the manifest one more time and nodded to the flight attendant. The flight attendant closed a bin with a gentle push and called forward, "Cabin secure for taxi pending final door." The jet bridge hummed as it inched back into position for the close. A ramp agent gave a cheerful thumbs up through the small oval window near the door. The captain returned to the cockpit. The co-pilot adjusted a dial. The overhead panel glowed like a city at twilight. Maya looked at the aisle. It was clear again, not because nothing had happened, but because everything had been handled. She let out a small breath she had been holding. She did not let it turn into a sigh. She let it be a simple exhale, a human reset. Mr. Gupta leaned over slightly. "I travel a lot for work," he said. "I have seen many delays. I will remember. This one for a good reason." "What reason?" Maya asked. "The way calm can lead a room," he said. "It is not loud, but it changes everything." Maya gave a modest smile. "Perhaps we all helped," she said. "You made space." The crew kept a steady voice. Chief Ortiz respected each step. The captain listened. "That is how rooms change." Mr. Gupta considered that and nodded. "Yes, that is how rooms change." The flight attendant moved down the aisle, checking belts and bags. She stopped at 12C for a beat. "Thank you," she said in a soft voice. No extra words, no looking around to see who heard. Then she kept moving. At the front, Ortiz spoke to Dana. "I will step off now," he said. "If you need anything else, call me. Otherwise, have a smooth departure." "Thank you, Chief," Dana said. "I appreciate how you kept this steady." "It is a team," Ortiz replied. "And it helps when the person at the center keeps grace." He did not point. He did not need to. Dana knew he meant Maya. Ortiz gave a small nod and stepped into the jet bridge. The bright light there made his notes shine for a second, then the door frame shaded them again. The last two passengers took their seats. One tucked a violin case by her feet. The other placed a hat in the overhead like it was a fragile bird. The plane absorbed these small stories the way it always did, quiet and ready. The captains. Voice came softly over the intercom to the crew, not yet to the full cabin. "Pre-departure checks complete," he said. "We will coordinate with the gate for door close and push." It was the voice of a man doing his craft, anchored by steps and systems. Maya felt the familiar hum growing under the floor, as if the aircraft itself was stretching before a long run. She looked at her folder and reviewed the first line of her meeting notes. "Begin with thanks." It felt fitting. She took a moment to think about the difference between caution and fairness. Both are important. But when caution becomes a habit, without clear reason, it can lean in the wrong direction. Fairness keeps it straight. Process helps people see the difference. She made a small note to herself for a training idea she might share later. Plain language checklist for respectful verification. Mr. Gupta gazed out the window. He saw a baggage handler laugh with a coworker, then make a square with his hands to guide a small cart. The handler moved with a rhythm that looked like good music set to steps. It matched the feeling inside, people doing their part, one clear motion at a time. Dana stepped into the aisle and made one last pass with her tablet, checking row numbers and seat counts. She tapped "Complete," then lifted her eyes to the door. The ramp agent gave a nod. The flight attendant waited for the captain's cue. For a brief second, time felt like a held breath again. Not tense this time, only ready. The cabin was full of small stories that had agreed to share one path for the next few hours. The aisle was clear. The bins were closed. The lights along. The floor sat like a quiet runway inside the plane. Maya adjusted her scarf. The blue clouds lay smooth across her shoulder. She placed her hands on her folder, not gripping it, just holding it like a companion for the road. She looked straight ahead, and her eyes were steady. In the cockpit, the captain glanced at the clock, then at the co-pilot. The co-pilot gave a small nod. Both men felt the same thing. This was not just a flight back to schedule. It was a chance to match actions to values. They did not say it out loud. They let the next steps say it for them. Dana positioned herself by the door, ready for the small ballet of levers and latches. The flight attendant stood by the interphone, ready for the signal. Mr. Gupta settled back with his hands folded. The teenager with the Be Brave keychain sat still. The door was almost ready to close when a small message appeared on Dana's tablet. She read it with careful eyes. It was a note from operations. "Ground control requests short hold, 8-10 minutes. Dana looked up. Timing had decided to test them one more time. She walked to the front and spoke in a low voice to the flight attendant. "Tiny ground hold," she said. "We will keep everyone calm." The flight attendant nodded and stayed steady, the way she had all morning. In the cockpit, the captain saw the same note on his screen. He felt two things at once: relief that they had a few minutes to get the tone right. Pressure, because those minutes could either help or harm the rest of the day. He looked at the co-pilot. "I'm going to speak to 12C, he said. The co-pilot gave a quiet nod and handled the next checklist item. The captain stepped out. He did not rush. He did not make a show. He moved down the aisle until he reached row 12 and stopped at the edge of Maya's seat. "Ms. Brooks," he said softly, "may I speak with you for a moment?" Maya closed her folder and looked up. "Yes," she said. Her voice was as calm as the blue scarf on her shoulder. The captain crouched so he would be at eye level and not stand over her. He rested one hand lightly on the aisle armrest, not touching her space. "Thank you for your patience," he said. "I asked for extra verification without a clear policy to point to. That caused delay and concern. I am sorry." Maya listened without interrupting. She watched how he chose each word. She could see he was trying to place them in the right order, not to protect himself, but to take responsibility. When he finished, she let a small beat of silence allow the apology to land. "Thank you for saying that," she said. "I care about safety. I also care about fairness. When we follow a clear process, both can live together." The captain nodded. "I agree," he said. "I will file a report about today. I will include what I asked for, what steps we took, and what I learned. If there is anything else you believe I should add, I am listening." Maya thought for a moment. "Please include this simple line," she said. "Use the same steps for every person, and use simple, respectful words while you do." "I will," he said. "Would you be comfortable if I shared your sentence with our training team?" "Yes," Maya said. "You can share that sentence. No names needed." He nodded again. "Thank you," he said. "Also, before we depart, I plan to make a brief announcement. I want to thank everyone for their patience. I want to be honest without pointing to any person. If you have a preference for language, I am open." Maya looked at the aisle light for a second, as if reading her answer there. "You could say this," she offered. "We had a short verification to make sure our process was followed with care and fairness. Thank you for your patience." The captain almost repeated the words out loud to test their rhythm. He kept them in his mind instead. "That is clear," he said. "Thank you." He stood, gave a small, sincere bow of the head, and returned to the front. 2 rows back, Mr. Gupta had watched the conversation without staring. He saw the captain crouch, he saw the apology, and he saw the gentle way Maya answered. He felt a looseness in his chest, like a tight knot had finally learned it could soften. Dana, meanwhile, opened a short note field in the system. She typed, in plain language the way she wished every note in every company was written, "Passenger verified through standard channel. Passenger was calm, cooperative, and professional. Tone in cabin remained respectful. Recommend adding plain language. Script for respectful verification to training." She saved the note and added a small tag so it would not get lost. The child near the window began to fuss. The mother jiggled a toy with a tired smile, the universal sign for almost okay, but not quite. Maya took a small sticker from the side pocket of her folder. It was a simple gold star. She leaned slightly and asked the mother with a look if a sticker would be welcome. The mother nodded, grateful. The child pressed the sticker to the plastic cup lid and forgot to fuss. A tiny sound of relief moved through row 11 and row 12 like a soft wind. A passenger 2 rows ahead muttered, not loud, but just enough to share his frustration with the air. "This is taking forever," he said. "We'll miss everything." Mr. Gupta turned his head slightly and spoke in a friendly, quiet tone. "We all want to arrive on time," he said. "Kindness helps the minutes move. Watch. Kindness is already helping." He tipped his chin toward the mother and the sticker. The mutterer looked, then shrugged, then smiled without meaning to. "Okay," he said. "Okay." Chief Ortiz had not left yet. The ground hold gave him time to finish his entry properly. He stood near the front, out of the way, writing in neat lines. "Call received. Verification requested by captain. Process, standard channel, confirmed. Tone, calm, no raised voices, passengers cooperative. Outcome, cleared. Recommendation, consider guidance for when to request verification. Emphasize policy reference in real time." He added one more line because he liked to capture good practice. "Transparency. ID visible while officer away. Passenger permission requested at each step. Privacy respected." He closed the notebook. Small things make big systems gentle, he thought. The flight attendant stepped to the front with the safety demo cards in her hand. She glanced at Dana, then at the cockpit door. They did not need words. Years of work had taught the crew to read one another's breathing. She would pause the demo until after the captain's announcement. In the cockpit, the captain looked at the co-pilot. "I am going to address the cabin," he said. The co-pilot met his eyes and gave a simple, yes. It was support without noise. The captain picked up the interphone, then set it down again. He wanted to get the words right. He had already promised to file a report. Promises become real when they are written and when they are spoken. He opened the small bound checklist that sat between the seats, slipped a blank page from the back, and wrote the sentence Maya had offered. We had a short verification to make sure our process was followed with care and fairness. Thank you for your patience. He read it once, in silence. It sounded like a sentence he wanted to live by, not just say. He underlined care and fairness with a single straight line. Then he added 2 more lines he thought the cabin should hear. We will do our best to make up time. We value your day. He held the page with 2 fingers and felt the paper's small weight. He had carried heavier things in his career, storms, long diversions, sudden changes. This paper felt different. It felt like a path he could choose every day, not just today. Back in the cabin, the teenager with the Be Brave keychain leaned toward the aisle to catch a glimpse of the front. He had never seen a pilot step out to speak with a passenger before. He felt like he had watched someone practice the same courage grown-ups often ask teenagers to practice. Say the hard thing kindly. Dana checked connecting flights on her screen. She saw 2 passengers with tight connections. She moved to their row, crouched the way the captain had, and said, "We have a small ground delay. I am tracking your connections. If we need help at arrival, I will request it now." The 2 passengers looked relieved. "Thank you," one said. "Thank you for telling us early." Maya sat back and let the room settle. She looked at the gold star on the child's cup and thought about how simple things can help people move forward. Words are like that too, she thought. The right words, in the right tone, at the right time, can guide a whole room. The hum under. The floor rose a little. That meant ground control might release them soon. The flight attendant made her way to 12C and spoke in a friendly whisper. "If you need anything before we go, please tell me." Maya thanked her and said she was fine. The flight attendant nodded and kept moving, checking latches with small, practiced motions. Chief Ortiz stepped to the threshold. He caught Dana's eye. "I'm heading out," he said. "You have what you need." "We do," Dana said. "Thank you for your help and your tone." "It goes both ways," Ortiz said. He looked toward Maya and gave a small, respectful nod. She returned it. He turned and disappeared into the bright light of the jet bridge. The captain returned to the doorway and signaled the flight attendant to wait 1 more minute. He wanted the announcement to come before the demo, not after. He did not want to hide the message behind routine. He wanted to place it where people could hear it with clear heads. Mr. Gupta folded his hands and took a slow breath. He had learned long ago that good flights begin before wheels leave the ground. They begin with the way people speak in small rooms. The co-pilot received a chime from ground control and held up 2 fingers. 2 minutes. The captain nodded. 2 minutes was perfect. Enough time to shape the room, not enough time to overthink. He lifted the interphone, then paused. He looked down the aisle all the way to row 12. Maya was not looking at him. She was looking at her folder, at a small note she had written to herself earlier. "Begin with thanks," it said. The captain smiled at the coincidence. Or maybe it wasn't a coincidence. Maybe good rooms share the same rules. He pressed the button and spoke first to his crew on the intercom only they could hear. "Thank you for the way you handled the last 20 minutes, he said. "Let's carry that same tone through departure." The simple message landed, like a handshake. He switched to the cabin PA and waited for the small click that meant the line was open. As he inhaled, a passenger in row 9 lifted a hand as if to ask a question, then low. The captain's voice came through the speakers, warm and steady. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We had a short verification to make sure our process was followed with care and fairness. Thank you for your patience, he said again, as if those words were a hand offered to the whole cabin. We will do our best to make up time. We value your day. The room changed, softly. People breathed out. A few heads nodded. The mother with the child pressed the gold star more firmly onto the cup and smiled at her daughter. Mr. Gupta folded his hands and let his shoulders relax. The teenager with the Be Brave keychain sat very still, eyes bright, as if he had just watched a lesson he would remember. The flight attendant began the safety demo with a calm smile. Her words were clear and simple. The cards in her hands moved like a quiet dance. Seatbelt, lights, exits. People watched. Maya watched, too. She always watched, even when she could have looked down at her notes. Paying attention was her habit. It was also her way of saying thank you to the people who did their work with care. The jet bridge pulled away. The door sound was a soft thump, then a seal. The plane pushed back, slow and smooth, like a boat leaving a small dock. The hum under the floor grew deeper. Wheels turned. The cabin lights shifted to a gentle tone. The runway waited like a long gray ribbon. Maya placed her folder in the seat pocket and set both feet flat on the floor. She touched the edge of her blue scarf and felt the tiny stitches her niece had made. She smiled to herself. Then she let her hands rest open on her lap. The engines rose to a confident song. The plane rolled, turned, paused, then lined up. For a heartbeat, everything felt still, like a breath held at the top. Then the takeoff came, steady, patient, sure. The ground moved away. The city turned to shapes. The clouds were no longer a picture on a scarf. They were real islands of white in a wide, kind sky. People did not cheer. They did something quieter. They let their faces soften. They allowed themselves to trust the room again. The seatbelt sign dinged once. "We have reached a safe altitude," the flight attendant said. "Please keep your seatbelts fastened when seated." The cart clicked free. The smell of coffee and warm bread drifted out. Mr. Gupta leaned a little toward the aisle. "Would you like something to drink?" he asked Maya, not as a helper, but as a neighbor. "Water is good," Maya said. She always chose simple things, when a day had already used up its extra energy. When the cart reached them, the flight attendant gave Maya a cup and a quiet smile. "Thank you again," she murmured. The words were small and private. They did not stick out. They fit the room. In the cockpit, the captain passed a task to the co-pilot and pulled the small page from his pocket. He read the sentence he had underlined, care and fairness. He wrote a few more lines on the back, the beginnings of the report he had promised. He did not write long paragraphs. He wrote clear points. I requested extra verification without a policy to cite. Security used. The standard channel. Passenger remained calm, cooperative, professional. Cabin tone stayed respectful. I learned to check my words against our process before I asked for a pause. He added one last line because it felt important to make it real. Submit this to training with a request for a short script on respectful verification. He looked out. The window. The sky was smooth. He felt lighter, not because the air was light, but because the truth was not heavy when you held it with both hands. Back in row 12, Maya sipped her water and opened her folder at last. She read the first line of her meeting notes. Begin with thanks. It matched the day. She wrote one new note in the margin. When systems pause, choose dignity and facts. She underlined it once. The teenager behind her tapped the Be Brave keychain, then stopped, worried the tapping might bother someone. Maya turned slightly and gave him a kind look. He whispered, "Sorry." She shook her head and whispered back, "You're fine," then turned forward again. His shoulders relaxed. That small exchange felt like a string pulled loose from a knot. The mother across the aisle let her child hold the gold star cup with both hands. "Look, we're in the clouds," she said, pointing. The child pressed her face to the window, left a small circle of fog on the glass, and giggled. A few people nearby smiled without even looking at one another. Some things are shared without effort. Dana checked the cabin from her jump seat near the front. She had a different view than most people. She saw the edges of the galley, the first row, the way light fell on the door. But in her mind, she could also see the notes she had entered into the system, the tags she had added so the training team would not miss them, the small line she had written about plain language scripts. She felt a quiet satisfaction. Systems can learn. People can help them learn. She thought of Chief Ortiz, already off the plane, handwriting neat in his notebook, probably finishing the last line next to a window where the jet bridge light made the page glow. She imagined his last words. Facts first. Tone matters. She liked that line. It felt like a bridge she could walk every day. A few rows ahead, a passenger in a business jacket leaned across the aisle to whisper to his seatmate. "The captain's announcement was good," he said. "Short and clear." His seatmate nodded. Yes, it sounded like the right kind of careful. The cart came back down the aisle with snacks. Mr. Gupta took a small pack of crackers and then changed his mind and took a second pack. He handed one to the teenager with a friendly smile. "For later," he said. The teenager took it as if it were a medal. "Thanks," he said, then tucked it in the pocket in front of him. Maya closed her folder for a moment and rested her eyes. She thought of her niece again. She pictured arriving later that night with a small airport gift, maybe a keychain with a tiny plane on it, or a sticker book with stars of many colors. She pictured telling a simple story at the dinner table, not with heat, but with care. Today, the system paused. We chose calm. The room learned something. So did I. Some minutes later, the captain spoke again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we expect a smooth flight. Weather at our destination is clear. We will make up a bit of time in the air." He did not promise what he could not control. He promised only what he could pursue. Steady effort, clear steps. People settled. Laptops opened and closed. Books turned pages. The child slept, cheek on her mother's sleeve. The gold star stayed on the cup lid like a tiny lighthouse. The blue scarf on Maya's shoulder lay still as the wing. When the time came, the seatbelt sign dinged again. The descent was gentle, like a hand placing a cup on a table. The city below grew from shapes into streets. The plane touched down with a soft kiss of wheels, then rolled, then slowed. The cabin clapped once, not loud, just a small pat of approval for a day managed with care. At the gate, the seatbelt sign went off. The usual small rush began. Phones checked, bags pulled, polite lines formed. Yet even this had a softer edge. Today. People waited an extra second before stepping into the aisle. They moved like a school of fish that had learned a calm pattern. Dana opened the door and stood where deplaning passengers could see her smile. "Thank you for flying with us," she said, over and over, each time as if it were new. When Maya reached the front, Dana leaned in, voice quiet. "Thank you," she said, "for your patience, for your tone." "Thank you for your steady language," Maya said. "It helped everyone." The captain stood by the cockpit door. He had not planned to greet passengers, but he felt he should do it today. When Maya reached him, he spoke very softly, just for her. "I filed the first part of the report," he said. "I will include the sentence you gave me." Maya nodded. "Thank you," she said. "I hope it helps the next day be smoother for the next person." "It will," he said. Then he added, not as a line, but as a belief, "I will work to make sure it does." Maya stepped into the jet bridge. The air felt different, warm, a touch of coffee from somewhere, a faint echo of rolling bags. Chief Ortiz was not there, but his tone was. She felt it in the way the gate agent said, "Good day," and in the way the line moved without push. Mr. Gupta followed, paused by the door, and spoke to the captain for a second. "Good announcement," he said. "Good day." The captain thanked him. Small affirmations help habits grow. In the terminal, Maya walked with easy steps. She checked the board for her meeting city. It was on time. She smiled. She had time for a quick tea before the next leg. She took out her phone and sent a short message to her niece. "In the air and safe," she wrote. "Your scarf traveled." "Well, thank you for the clouds." She found a quiet corner and opened her email. There was a note from a colleague, a simple question about a chart. She answered in simple lines. Then she wrote a brief memo to herself with 3 points. Share idea with training. Plain language script for respectful verification. In future. Travel. Carry printed 1-page note on process rights and courtesy. Keep choosing steady words. They open doors. She saved the memo. She took a sip of tea. A little heat. A little rest. Back on the plane, the captain finished his report and sent it through the proper channel. He added a request to the training team. Please consider a short module on how to ask for help without pointing to a person and how to close the loop in clear, kind words. He sent a second note to his crew. Thank you for your tone today. Facts first. Dignity always. He felt those words in his hands like the controls he used every day. Dana forwarded her note with the tag. She added a single sentence.